Lord Edward Godfrey. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for Best Boss of the Year award. The only reason that most of my staff stay is because of the decent compensation. I'm not cheap. But if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting them?
I'm sure she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all. Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
The words leave my mouth before I even realise what I've said. I panic a bit. Though I can get away with picking up women out in the city, sometimes even out of the country, I've always taken care not to do so in my home or in my business. Not when it'll be so easy for Hannah to find out about my infidelity through these channels. No, seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. Just an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, I do count my lucky stars. It seems the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass that it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
I'm also going to have to say, sorry for the loads of interruptions into the flow of their character. I've got a lot of thoughts going on and I need to get them out. I know for a fact, I've been watching other playthroughs of this game, never getting past the point what I'm at. Obviously, I want to still keep the game blind. But I know for a fact one of the ending possibilities of Hannah's story, she finds this necklace and wears it. I wonder how that shapes out in this story.
Work is work, my lord. It is a way of living, a purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat. The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things, especially when the rains, they might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully. Maybe.
A little drearily, if a little dreary, at least something doesn't beat. At least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, as a janitor, or other menial role. All believe themselves to be for greater things. I would not begrudge the idea that one can always get better. One shouldn't be so discontent with what they have either.
The rain is something I simply must get accustomed to, if I am to live here. I've not spent long in this place after all.
That's a lie. You've been here for several hundred years, but...
But I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time, and their mother's time. There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
There's an interesting thing. Go to the backlog. I've been told it has rained in this nation since a mother's time and their mother's time. If I am to live here, I've not spent long in this place after all. So she was a slave from abroad. And I can only assume because of the kanji written on a necklace, potentially of an Asian descent.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't you? This is your home, after all. Your people, they won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me. I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for a fine listening ear. Though what she says next gives me pause, whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
And good tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me.
So she's clearly talking about Charlotte Ermengarde here. She has to. Because Charlotte saved her from being a slave.
Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
I highly doubt she means Hannah. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. When she actually is nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough, much like that with that Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit she doesn't quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak, I don't deal with her myself anymore, though even Johannes has a few choice words about the head hag. She's just been under the right employer. So, right, I'll keep that one to myself for a little bit. Hold on. She's just been under the right employee when she was also head housemaid for my father. If anyone's not going to get along with someone, it would be that crotchety old woman. I don't even remember her name. But the woman who's been this strict, upstart bitch who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned up her nose, as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. That, and she absolutely loathed my very existence. Perhaps the rumours had been true. That she had a miscarriage while bearing another one of my dearest father's children, and she saw me as another obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much at least. The only reason why I haven't sacked her yet is because of her competence. Also because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable, her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way. Though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts. But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just so easy to talk with that I've forgotten. I don't know who she is, and if she's actually one of the household staff. That would explain why she wouldn't so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though, if she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions, perhaps curiosity will kill this cat.
It's strange that I've never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it, can you, my lord?
Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry with the cryptic response. She threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I do not want my mood ruined further than it already is. Not right now, when I can let my temper take its course another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes, not the good sort either. Her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm laid bare. The offness of her presence is all the more palpable with the feeling of bugs crawling on my skin, and the silence that makes it seem like the world has stopped. Any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger. A small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive all these years. And in hindsight, it'd be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. If you didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
Bad move. At my threat that the smile on her face turns tight.
I see. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate. How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
As if a switch had been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific, although that may very well be the understatement of the century. She herself turns horrific. Her presence is suffocating, bearing down on me. I'm rooted on the spot through no fault of my own, as my fear paralyzes.
You are too much like that vile woman. Poisoned by her rotten influence and her filthy words. But that can be remedied now that you're here. Oh, how we have waited to welcome you home. Come, my lord. The house beckons.
When her fingers grasp at the back of my coat, I finally find it in me to break off into a run. I can still feel her eyes on me as I run back to the house, but I refuse to acknowledge it, let alone look back. All I need is to get away from her and make sure she stays away. That means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe. Nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. It must have been a sight to see the unusually composed and reserved Luke Wright bursting through the doors. Not that I have much of an audience unless there are other staff members who'd chosen to disregard my orders for them to leave. Really, I still doubt that woman is one of the staff. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she followed me. She's gone. But I don't take any chances, putting as much distance as I can between us. Stopping to catch my breath, Johannes's sudden appearance makes me jump out of my skin.
Don't fucking do that! You son of a bitch! If I had a gun, I would have shot you!
If I had any love left for my mutter, I'd take offense. But what happened to you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Because he has just seen a ghost. If only it was such a delusion. But I can still feel her sharp nails digging into my back. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost.
There was his housekeeper. I think, I'm not sure. In the gardens. She was acting odd, and I thought to remove myself from the scene.
This irks me a little bit, that occasionally the people who have voice actors don't occasionally get their lines voiced. Strange, I made sure the rest of the staff had left, and that the house was empty as you requested. Describe this woman.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
I half expected a name from him. The man knows the stuff better than I do, after all. But instead of an answer, he grows quiet. I'm pretty sure that's not a good thing. I'm even more worried about when the other man looks me over. I have to protest when he pulls back my collar.
What the bloody hell are you doing?
Checking for marks. Needle marks, to be exact. We don't have anyone like that among the staff. You could have easily been kidnapped.
A cold feeling settles itself over me at the thought. I've long established my power over the more unsavoury characters in Luxborn, or I thought I did. And the most harm I thought that could come Come to me would be slander, robbery, or incarceration. Kidnapping? An attempt on my own person? I've forgotten that I am as human, as mortal, as any other man despite my wealth and status.
Fortunately, you look unharmed. But I advise that you be accompanied by trusted individuals at all times from now on. If not me, an assigned guard. I'll be informing them of this soon, as they return from their day in the city.
Already I can feel energy leave me at the realization of what could have been.
All right. Yes, I suppose we should do that. But I think I'd like to call it a day. I should be safe in bed, yes?
I'll stand guard outside for the night. The madam has been inquiring about you, by the way.
Guard, any other threat, and he alone would be enough to make me feel safe. What I saw, whatever it is I saw, would one man be enough?
That's all well and good, but there's something else. That housekeeper, she...
Luke, you're home. I was worried about you.
The grin that I can muster is probably lopsided. Forced as I snap my mouth shut to keep myself babbling about witches and monsters. Because here I am standing in the hallway, dirt on my pant leg and sweat dotting my forehead, a far cry from my usual pristine condition. I don't want to worry Hannah. The cough.
What happened to you? You look like you wrestled in the mud and moss, dear. And those flowers. Were you gardening?
What? Oh, these. I didn't realize I still had them.
I really did not. They are here, still in my grip, the daffodils I had taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I had refused to let go of them, whether I was conscious of it or not.
Shall I put them in a vase?
Should I? Perhaps I did it to save face, or maybe a small part of me really had planned to take them for her. But like a young man presenting flowers to a Valentine's, I awkwardly thrust the bouquet in Hannah's direction.
They're for you.
These are lovely, thank you. But aren't these?
The surprise is to be expected, and the open-ended question needs little interpretation. I've never given her daffodils before, especially not the ones I considered mine.
They're for you. Don't make me think that kneeling around in the dirt was a waste of my time.
It's not. It's not. Just... Are you feeling alright? I hope whatever I have isn't contagious.
I'm not sick, Hannah. I just got them for you. I thought they'd make you feel better, brighten up the room. I don't need my intentions questioned. The thank you was enough.
And I didn't mean to insinuate anything. But you're right. Thank you, truly, for these.
She takes them from me then, careful not to crush the stems. There is still uncertainty on her face, which endears and annoys me in equal parts. But she does look lovely with them, the very picture of her something that should be immortalised in paint. They should be for Mother. But it doesn't matter anymore.
Why don't we turn in for the night? You must be exhausted with all that gardening.
Yes, gardening. What does a dead woman care for flowers? It's really pushing through his story. And I can only assume that the relationship with Hannah's got better. Yeah, cool. I didn't get any sleep, not even a single wink. I was so busy jumping at every shadow and worrying about waking with a knife in my chest. And not waking at all, even when Hannah wakes in spite of a mild fever and goes downstairs for breakfast, I stay in bed. Thoughts of poisoned food running in my head. The rain that had started sometime in the night doesn't help the mood. Probably doesn't help that you don't actually have a window to stop that rain from flooding into your bedroom. But, you know, small things. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign for things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal, and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. I would hate to get caught unawares in this rain. And how it looks outside. And with how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it's given with a good old-fashioned downpour. with rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to get caught unawares in this rain. And how it looks outside, it seems like the weather is... Okay, that was a repetition of lines. It does let up within the quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxborn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. There doesn't seem to be much going on within them. They seem to be, like I said, when the day changed over, they seem to be shoving through his story quite quick. Like all the other characters we've played so far have all started back here. He started here. Whether they know that there's not really much to be gleaned from his story, what we don't already know, and they just kind of, the developers had a conscious decision to just kind of push the main story. Who knows? Well, they did a good, damn good job fixing this place up because I'd rather not have to deal with leaky roofs. I don't like the idea of that. I don't like the idea that the reality of did a horrid patch job on the place. Hannah, technically, paid millions for this place. It better live up to the price for a realty company sold it for. Roof problems aside, she's going to be a definite downer about this as well. She hates the rain. Then again, who actually does? What sane person would like it when 9 out of 10 days consisting of nothing but dark, drab and grey skies and piss water pouring from the heavens? I quite enjoy it. But I live in England, so that's what the weather's like here. She was just starting to enjoy the sunshine. I'll have to get up and about eventually, that's a given. But I'm not keen on seeing or talking to Hannah before she leaves for the hospital. Or eventually in a few days' time, this bloody house. Kylie won't like it if she comes here to only find me in a bad mood. You would dare rouse me from bed, being able to keep their jobs is incentive enough. I trust they realise that now is not a good time to force me into anything. Maybe I can just get an hour or two of sleep before Suarez drops his brat off at the mansion steps. If only. But as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I am quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered? Truly? Not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
I wonder... There's a scene with Johannes during Ash's thing. Maybe he isn't like Luke's hired killer, but he's had something in the past, maybe military service, blah blah blah. And the reason why he was so adamant about Ashton is because Ashton's pale-skinned, dark-eyed, and dark long hair for a male. Maybe he thought that this was the person coming back to try and kill him instead of kidnap him. Loath as I am to admit it, he's right. Still, it's more frustrating when he doesn't give me the time to concede his point.
I know you two aren't getting along.
Nosy bugger.
But you should at least see the madam off before we leave. Think of her as a business associate if you must. It would not do to part on bad terms.
It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
That's none of his business. None of it. If he remembers his place, he'll drop it. I don't want to talk to Hannah, not now, when I'm so high-strung and paranoid. This whole thing is a bloody mess with everything going off at once. I'm afraid that with our troubles, I will misinterpret anything she might say or do. That'd just make the whole thing worse.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help in calming me down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But...
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
Can anyone blame me if I show the tiniest bit of interest? She's still not done with the house, and she's a nice enough woman. Plans to go back to sleep are gone.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
She's probably passed out after enjoying a pint or 2 or 10 in a bar somewhere. She's an adult. It was the weekend. She's allowed to disappear and not think about work.
One
Fuck.
sec. Right, I'm going to be back in a sec. I'm just going to quickly nip to the loo. Oh, 2 seconds. Hi. Right.
I wish I was passed out after a night of drinking. He does know that mobiles are a thing.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either.
As point of reference, we know that Marianne's not around because I think it was the 28th. Yeah. So this section here, Marianne was being haunted by this ghoul using the face of someone she loved during high school who took her own life. And then she managed to find a secret area underneath the mansion, which the witch chased her down into and basically has locked her underneath there since. And Ashton rescues her. Yeah, here. So after his fall, Ashton finds himself in an underground passage. There he encountered Marianne McCulloch, who got trapped in one of the jail cells for several days. So she's been there for quite some time. Yeah.
Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Certainly someone must know where she is. Tabs are kept without fail on people who come to work for me. Background checks and constant surveillance until they finish their contracts with the rights. Some would say it's a little bit over the top, but I can't be too safe. Too many want me dead.
What about one of ours? Has anyone seen her? She's pretty hard to miss with how tall the woman is.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party.
Yep.
Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this and to suspect.
Of little importance that I can easily prove my innocence, it's all a matter of principle. Because even the accusations of misdemeanor should not stain my reputation, although maybe it is a bit too late to hope for a squeaky clean one. Besides, it'll be such a hassle if to have the police poking around the house, looking for a body that doesn't exist.
Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
It's Kylie! Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye, rolling over on my stomach. I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course, of course. Ugh. Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
I wonder how much the developers intentionally put that in for a German person to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. In that way.
No, Johannes, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on!
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
Bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Changing into a fresh shirt, brushing my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence. Wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie's a great kid, wonderful, better than most brats her age. But handling the tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now with this whole Hannah business. Fortunately, I'm well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set to preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. Bed hair is disgusting, though it isn't as bad now as it was when I was a child. With how expensive a trip to the barber was, I often had to grow it out until mother had the time to cut it for me. Curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why I was even mistaken as a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that my name was Lucille. Freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of a crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to start the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come along with taking a child.
Good morning to you, Luke.
Speak of the devil and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Oh, tell me you forgot. It's our playdate today.
I doubt I'd forget. Kylie's visits are frequent enough that they've found their way into my schedule. They're supposed to be visits to her godmother. But we can't pick who a child gets along with. So long as I'm not busy, her father can drop her off for the day. Which is all well and good for me, if it makes Suarez focused on the work I've given him. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable. Kid's got a good head on her shoulders and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have me to thank for that. My parents can take partial credit, but Hannah and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during a baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hannah, who was to be named godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, all swaddled in her mother's arm and white cloth. It was the first time I saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. I've never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head, and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing there and then. But the child just smiled at me, babbled nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hannah. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and it was nearly an anxious mess. I was nearly an anxious mess by the time I handed her back to her mother. Pretty much like me with children. Not good. Yet it was pleasant too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as you told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortillas de patatas. He wouldn't let until I finished every bite.
God bless the person who had to, either the child that had to say that line or the person who had to voice act as a child saying that line. Suarez's infamous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
Easy enough to manage Kylie with promises of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough for me to rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
God damn it.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I usher Kylie towards the parlour and order a maid to bring our food for us. Whatever breakfast there is along with my cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long unless I want her to let her turn the other room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I've only left Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from colouring books and crayons to toys. It's a bit horrifying. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I certainly can breathe a little easier if she won't bring her doll along every time she visits. Creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't leave me anytime soon. Yeah, I can imagine so. That is one creepy ass doll. Even now it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I will break it, find a way to get rid of it, and if it wasn't from Hannah, and if only Kylie isn't so attached to it. The thing is some antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday, one of a kind. My darling Hannah loved her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest long with the wife. It's not something that Hannah does wrong on her part. She does try so very often very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to handle children. She's never been around other children when she was growing up, surrounded by protective adults who cater to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child. Treat her as if she's made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know little scrapes and skin knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as she behaves as she can be. Oh, as behaved as she can be. With her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or even just fake wrestle for a while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to Papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hannah isn't quite up for those sorts of things most of the time, thinking it'll spoil the child. It turns a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I pluck one of her colouring books from the table and to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I'd expect for a little girl, but doesn't hurt anyone. If she doesn't play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, or if she wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She wants to put dolls, tutus on model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. We went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! theory, Xeno. Theory, dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Cisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Kako.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone as long as she puts her mind to it. Yet, the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a little more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. Both the thoughts of Cisa and Kylie, Cisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of the said ideas being massacre by dinosaurs, something I probably need to bring up with her father aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and is that precocious? I'm gonna have to ask you. This word's come up 3 times now. Because it doesn't sound like it should be. She's as energetic and precautious. Anyway, as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel if she can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We're tucked into our waffles as soon as food is brought in. They look good. Our waffles, because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. A fresh plate of berries brought in with mine as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to the Bloxland in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks of Miss Pink, and I have to shift my leg to become more comfortable once more. The memories of my initial meeting with her still fresh on my mind. Yeah, because she hit him in the head with a book. The little bright is quick to defend her favourite academic as well. The woman has yet to offer a proper apology, and she wishes to give one on her behalf, all diplomatic like I taught her. She talks of the sad man in the park, and of a new friend, likes to play hide and seek whenever she's not sniffing in the loo. That just sounds wrong. So the sad man in the park is Zach. And is that Takako, her imaginary friend, who I can only assume is the witch who can inhabit her body as well. So when finally she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course, the calm before the storm. Because behaved as she is right now, I can feel curiosity just radiating off of her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin, and a question at the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint, however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, as the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon that leaves me with the blue one, I absentmindedly start drawing a puppy to the best of my abilities. It's as I attempt to give the doodle dog another eye that Kylie breaks the silence.
Tio? Where did Tia go? I saw them leave when I got here. Tia didn't look so good.
I've been expecting a lot of different questions. The kid always has a bunch of them ready for me, but I can only sigh when she posed this particular one.
She's just going to the doctor's for a checkup.
And as kids go, there are follow-up questions.
And you didn't go with her?
Well, you were going to be here, sweetie, so I had to stay behind.
So she's all alone? At the hospital?
Oh, no, of course not. Tia has Johannes and her maid and a guard. She's got plenty of company.
Yeah, but you're not with her.
Nope. If I didn't know better, I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty. No, I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that or something else entirely. I really don't have time to process what the emotion is before the brat opens her mouth again.
You should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting. I heard that you might not be together anymore.
You have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume that we've been fighting. No thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour, and to put it in her terms, that we might not be together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
And she says to Kako, I swear to fucking God.
I heard it from a nice maid lady. But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand and bring her soup and make her drink medicine.
I'm livid that one of my employees might gossip, and to a child, of all people, who says such upsetting things to a child. But my anger dies out when Kylie starts to tear up. She holds it back in an effort not to seem so childish, I assume. No, I'm honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no. Look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
I'm not going to cry.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hannah and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
Oh, kids. Immediately, why don't you love each other anymore? Eh?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
Isn't that the truth? I love her. It's not... I'm just a total shite at showing it. And a small part of me screams that it's not worthy, that I was not worthy to be a husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps in another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
Well, why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm a prat, probably. Motioning for her to come close, I wrap my arms around her and rub her back in an attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel the tears soak into my jacket that I realise that there might have been something else to her worries. I've heard Suarez is not getting along too well with his wife as of late because of how busy he is at work. Really, I was wholly tempted to just brush her question off and say it's a grown-up thing. I could content myself in pretending that this isn't happening. But it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this, because I have to explain I'm not only for Kylie, but also for myself. Oh, I have to explain it not only for Kylie.
Sometimes, people fall out of love. Or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves to think about each other, to know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other pretending they still love each other.
There is nothing final, but here we are, at a crossroad where the wrong step might end in a heartbreak. Hannah thinks we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grown-ups can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend, no matter what, Teal?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it. And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Kylie's shoulders shake in laughter as she pulls away and gives me a toothy grin.
You're already old! But don't worry. When you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever. Just like they did with Abuelo.
That is fucking creepy. But Kirsty, it's a kid, and they're talking about everything. Just read that line. Just to that point there is creepy enough. When you die, I'll burn you and put you into a jar so I can keep you forever. No. That's just fucking creepy. Really fucking creepy. Yeah, I didn't skip a line, that's fine. My thoughts come to a grinding halt at her words. I'll see you later. Yet she goes on as if she hasn't just said such an odd thing. One sec. There we go. I've just got to mute the mic every time that the door goes, because every time the door opens and shuts, because it's quite stuck in some places, you can hear a massive bang through the mic. It peaks higher than my voice and I'm nowhere near the door. So. Why, it almost seems like the tyke is looking forward to my funeral. As if there's no confused expression on my face, she pulls me back to our drawings, commenting on the state of my weird dog.
I think your puppy would look better in magenta.
I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie considering how high-strung I feel. So it's a good thing that Suarez came for as soon as I've called. No, it's earlier than the agreed upon time. He voices no complaints. The bastard even has a look of relief as soon as they've left. Or at least I interpret it as such, from where I'm stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. Well, aside from picking up the mess Kylie left scattered around the parlour, to my immense relief, she's remembered to take a doll home with her this time. Good. That doll was creepy. But the same cannot be said for the crayons and the papers littered right here and there. First things first, I snatch up my own doodle from the table, rip it to shreds, leaving no hope that it'll ever see the light of day. The rest of the drawings, all Kylie's, remain unharmed as I collect the lot. Though they have been stacked neatly on the table before, they must have been blown about when I saw Kylie off. And there's plenty of them. From cats and cakes to colourful rainbows and gardens, the child managed to make a lot during her morning here. There's one more that I have to fish out of the fireplace where it landed. Expecting to see another one of Kylie's masterpieces, instead I'm greeted with something a bit more concerning. So, Takako is the ghoulish woman. There is me, and there is Kylie, the two of us standing side by side and smiling as our stick-figured selves stand in a nondescript field. Not much I can ascertain without looking at the labels below the doodle's feet. The third figure stands next to me in the drawing. A woman with her face half hidden behind a curtain of black. Takako, the writing under her supplies.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
Well. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on ends as I feel a chill go down my spine. Is she going to appear? A breath that isn't mine. This has me turning around, hoping to see someone, anyone. But nothing. That's when I hear it. The fuck? Laughter, sweet and merry laughter ringing from the ballroom. Thinking about it has my cheeks burning and my blood running hot. It's as if I'm being mocked. As I stomp towards the door, I have to stop myself from shouting up a storm. I expect to see some of the help dallying about, idle from their duties. Perhaps they thought they could slack off on their duties without the head butler around and my preoccupation with Kylie. Well, they had another thing coming. But again, nothing. Nothing from what I can see with a cursory glance, at the very least. I roam about, looking for near impossible hiding places, and still, I'm all alone. Yet I can still hear the laughter, that accursed laughter echoing about in the room, in my head.
Who's there? Show yourselves and show some respect to the master of the house!
Cold unease settles into my stomach when no one answers. I stumble on my own 2 feet, feeling a wave of nausea coming from nowhere. I have to put a hand against the wall to stay upright when the world shifts and pain explodes from behind my eyes. It takes every ounce of my self-control not to heave there and then. The only thing my pride allowed me to do then is to close my eyes and attempt to alleviate some of the pain. Vague, unfamiliar images, dare I say, memories not mine, flash in my head, unbidden and unwelcomed. Oh, is she gonna show him things of the past? Like a strong hammer strike to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. Whatever emotions they hold are muted. I'm nothing but a spectator. Still, its weight feels palpable. No, it doesn't take long for my sensations to grow, to get into my head, through my eyes and my ears. It creeps and buzzes in the spaces between. One after another they come to me. An unending flood that threatens to sweep me away for what feels like an eternity. Each one a show of both joy and suffering for those who have called this mansion their home. Each new scene is like a hammer to the head, threatening to crack my skull and split it in two. I can feel every little emotion in the blurry images that present itself in my head. I feel a part of these, like I've lived through them, though I know that is not possible. All their anger burns through me. That much is evident, but the pain more so. Above it all are the whispers. The voices calling, luring until one image emerged in vivid contrast with the others. When there's a shout of joy, my eyes snap open, looking for the culprit. That's when the whole room just changes. Everything is the same, yet everything isn't. There are people everywhere, laughing and dancing. I should be concerned about them, but my mind finds it easy to dismiss them as they fade in and out from nothingness. Instead, I find my concentration drawn to a man and woman, though one can only call them lord and lady, going by their clothes. So, as I was saying, look at the ridiculous resemblance between Luke Wright and Lord Edward Godfrey, and then there's Charlotte Ermengarde, who looks a lot like Hannah, and obviously we've got Witch Woman. And oh, just how happy the couple looks. Though the man's eyes are eerily blank, like he's not all there, his face is familiar though. In fact, they both are. I can't quite place why. The two make for a pretty picture as they dance in the centre of the ballroom. Even the phantom crowd's attention stay on them. It reminds me so much of Hannah and I during the early days of our marriage, the honeymoon years they call it. We were happy then too. All smiles and her sunshine. Even with the normal dreary weather, younger, we had less to worry about, or at least thought that way. I wished we could go on that way even with all that I did and had to do. But life has a way of catching up. There was work to be done. Although we had to stay the living perfect couple in public, I cannot afford to look so weak. To appear tied down to someone else, to those who knew who I really am. I had to harden my heart when I have business. But it hadn't always been so easy to just switch that part of me on and off. I should be concerned about their intrusion too, asking what in the bloody hell they're doing in my house, throwing a party as if they own the place. Ask myself how the fuck did I didn't notice what was going on before, when the parlour and the foyer are only a few doors away. There's a horrid feeling of envy. And though I have long accepted that I'm a jealous person by nature, I have never felt such a strong feeling of envy as I have now. They were happy with each other, these people, but Hannah and I... Envy turned into anger. Anger for something I could not have. I have the feeling that yelling and screaming at them won't do much of anything anyway. None of the others have given me notice. I realise that this might not be real. It dawns on me that these are the two people from the paintings. The ones all over the mansion. It makes me sense. Which makes sense. I don't think I'm imaginative enough to make this all up on my own. This must be a dream. Or a really horrible high. Just then I can feel eyes on me as I contemplate the absurdity of the situation, yet I find difficult